What's up guys, Debo here, bringing you another, well not necessarily a tutorial video, but a character video on the Wizard today. One of the classes I have to say is I feel either pretty much the best in the game and or just the most fun to play. So I'm going to go ahead and set my quest here. We're going to do a quick Skeleton King run. We'll go over the stats really quick and of course the current skill uses that I use for the Wizard. So let's go ahead and load her up. Waiting for it to load. There we go. Loading. Just doing a lot of loading. Loading in a second. There we go. Alright, so we got a wizard here. Alright, we're stabilizing out. Alright, so wizard's pretty much it's pretty much a throwback to the sorceress class of Diablo 2. A lot of big differences. I have to say the one thing I definitely noticed is that the Wizard has a lot more durability as compared into Diablo 2. Starts off slow, but once you reach level 6 and you actually get that arcane orb, everything comes pretty much easy. Let's just go ahead and get right into the skill tree. Now, they have a lot of different signature moves. I personally like to go ahead and go with the magic missiles. Now, if you notice, my arcane power is very low. This is a build that's actually going to be running on a high amount of damage per second. Skills that do a lot of damage and costs, well, not necessarily really cheap on mana, but I mean, it's pretty efficient in terms of how much it costs. I like to go ahead and get magic missiles. It's a single energy attack, only costs 3 arcane power, does 110% weapon damage, only shoots down one target, but I really only need a single target ability when I have a really strong ability, which is going to be arcane orb, but I'll be getting to that in a second. So I start off with a magic missile. Like I said, 110% versus the, 110% of my weapon damage in the form of one attack, 3 arcane power, great skill. Now I do see some people like to use not necessarily they don't use shock pulse, but I noticed towards late game a lot of people like to use electrocute. I don't really see that many people use spectral brave, but I've been predominantly seeing a lot of electrocutes and really not even that much of magic missiles, spectral blades, or shock pulse. It's pretty much up to you. Any of these talents could go ahead and get the job done, but if you are going to be using a little bit of higher amount of arcane power, electrocute, you will need to get a little bit more on the arcane power side. And but I just overall picked up magic missile because I already have an AoE attack and I just need like a regular attack that can do a lot of damage, and this one gets the most bang for my buck. Alright, second skill is ice armor, another skill I do actually enjoy. It's a very simple skill. Increases my armor by 50%, causes 13% weapon damage as a cold to melee attackers, and chilling them for 2 seconds, lasts 120 seconds. Really good skill. Gives the wizard a lot more survivability. Also, if the enemy does attack you, they get frozen. It works on it works on all unique monsters, and it also works on the Skeleton King. So pretty much every time he hits you, he's going to go ahead and get frozen and slowed down by ice armor, giving you enough time to get away. So definitely a skill you definitely want to invest in, and I would imagine that higher level play is just going to be one of the common skills you're going to have in your repertoire just to keep your wizard alive. Bread and butter skill, arcane orb. I have to say this is probably the best skill for the wizard in general. This skill is pretty ridiculous. You get it at level 6. It does 225% of weapon damage to all enemies within 10 yards. So pretty much, it's like, the best way to describe it is like a bomb. Throw it into a mob of enemies, it can instantly just one-shot all of them, no problem. Not to mention, if it actually does crit, it does even more damage. So like I said, I like to utilize the arcane orb. It does take a lot of arcane power, but since we're running with such a high DPS per second, and we're going to combine that with the 225% weapon damage of the arcane orb, not a problem whatsoever. By the time you cast out your second orb, I mean, you'll be casting your first orb, it'll kill most mobs. Your second orb will actually end up killing a special mob if you're going after it. Really good skill. And like I said, it's just, I think this is going to be a core ability for a very long time inside of the Wizard's leveling up process, because it's just such an amazing skill. I don't know if it's too powerful or not, but definitely in playtesting, in my personal experience, I feel it's a little bit overpowered, a little bit crazy, But I mean, that's perfectly okay. Maybe it slows down when it gets to higher levels. We really haven't been able to test the content past level 13. But this skill pretty much just shuts everything else down and made it to the point where I really just don't even need to invest in some other skills. Now, I will say I do see some people with Disintegrate. It's a good attack that does 176% weapon damage per second as arcades, disintegrating as enemy kills, blah, blah, blah. So basically it ticks 23 arcane per second. Now, if you have a build that actually has wands and a lot more, or you're just going for the items that have a lot more, oh god, I can't think, arcane power on it, I would say Disintegrate's perfectly fine. But the one thing I've kind of noticed is you just can't really get the weapon attack, or you get your weapon attack so high without sacrificing arcane. That's what I've noticed. Maybe I think this skill could be have a lot of potential once you're able to have a good amount of arcane power to keep this skill going indefinitely, and then also having a high weapon damage. That I think Disintegrate has a lot of potential, especially on bosses and things like that. But as it currently stands right now, I still prefer the Arcane Orb. It does a lot more damage. I've seen some people doing Energy Twister, pretty good skill, clearing out the whole room. But like I said, nothing against Energy Twister. It's basically, it's nothing that the Arcane Orb can't already do. I mean, this costs 23 arcane power per second. This one costs 35, so for a little bit more, you get a 225% weapon damage attack that also explodes enemy within 10 yards. So it not only, you know, does AoE damage, it hits everything around it. And then, I mean, the Twister, Energy Twister is an okay skill, but like I said, the Arcane Orb pretty much just dominates everything else in comparison. Wave Force, not too many people actually seen use this. It's an okay skill. It does weapon damage as physical. I think this will be actually pretty good when you get to certain points in Diablo's span as a wizard, when certain monsters are magic immune. This will actually be able to give you be able to do some weapon damage. So I think this skill will be actually very crucial when you get to the point where certain mobs are getting immune to magic, things like that, whatever Blizzard decides to throw at us. I think that's going to make a real big difference in terms of that. Other than that, I really don't see too much people using it. As for the utility, I don't really see that many people using Storm Armor. That seems to be okay, but one big ability I started to use, even though you really don't need it, but I do enjoy it, is actually the Diamond Skin. And I have to say, the Diamond Skin, it can be stacked with the Ice Armor, and what it does is it provides you for 5 seconds, you absorbing up to 95 damage. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but I'm telling you, if you're getting whacked on by some monsters, or if a certain monster has an ability that he casts, and then you can see it coming, then you could definitely pop that Diamond Skin and be able to take a lot more damage. So like I said, with the Diamond Skin and the Ice Armor, you're going to see your wizard have a lot of potential for a lot of, or being able to defend against a lot of damage. As for the passive skills, you know what? Power Hunger is pretty good because you get 30 arcane energy whenever you're healed by a health globe. That's pretty awesome. The Temporal Flux, I really don't see it much as a PvE thing. It seems like more of a PvP skill. The Critical Mass, I'm not too for sure about that. I think that would be pretty good towards having in a combination of skills in the late game, because if you have a high amount of critical, I can really see that actually making an ability for some skills to be almost nearly spammable, especially if you get a high critical rate. You can cast a couple spells, reduce your time, and then be able to just keep popping off spells non-stop. So I would say keep a lookout for that, but I don't think it's going to be really good at low level. You're going to need to be able to encompass it with other passive skills to really get the most out of it. And my favorite, Glass Cannon, increases all damage done by 20% but decreases armor and resistance by 10%. Well, since we're using Ice Armor and Diamond Skin, I really don't think we have much to worry about. So it's pretty much a free 20% damage increase, and combine that with the already 225% damage weapon damage of Arcane Orb, you can imagine pretty much what's going to happen. So enough talk. Let's go ahead and take this quest from Decker Kane and go ahead and do a quick Skeleton King run so you guys showcase the wizard's abilities and whatnot. Going to the cathedral. Oh, and her gear. Her gear is pretty much, I kept it pretty much simple. I could get a mace that ups this damage to 24 DPS per second and probably will get my basic attack up over to a little bit 90, but I'm not too worried about that. It's okay. Not freaking out about the little odds and ends. I got most of my regular crafted armor. It gives me a lot of vitality, couple attack stats here and there, attributes to everything. Like I said, all this gear is just simply crafted, nothing too fancy. I think only a couple things I could swap out. I could probably switch this out for the Journeyman chest, and I do believe these are the Journeyman pants. So like I said, my Focus Eagle Orb. The main thing is, I just have another one here, adds me a couple arcane power, adds me the extra damage, and if you notice, I do have my magic rings have +9 attack because that ups my basic attack, which will make my arcane orb hit a lot harder. So like I said, nothing too complex. And actually, instead of running the normal yellow crafted belt, you can have, I actually have a +8 belt that actually works really good on her. So basically, I'm upping all her attack as much as I can. Her arcane power is going to be a little bit low, but she's going to hit so hard that it's not going to really matter. Her arcane power is actually so low. Alright. So getting ready to go through the ornate door. And you're pretty much just going to see her smash house. Pretty much unprecedentedly. There's going to be pretty much nothing that can really shut her down in terms of what she wants to do. Get a little bit of lag, or let me go ahead and see here. We'll fix it a little bit. Let me see here. Maybe it'll stabilize out. Sorry about that, guys. We had a little technical difficulties. I had to restart my video settings, but hopefully now everything should be coming through pretty crisp and pretty clean. Not too much delay. Alright, cool deal. So like I was talking, just casting the Arcane Orb deals a lot of damage to a lot of enemies. As you see, it's just basically, it's a pretty much a one-hitter quitter spell. As you see, it's just taking everything out in one hit. We got a mob of enemies right there. And like I said, even when my Arcane energy is running low, like I said, it's just, it hits so strong, it's all you really need is just one attack to connect. And if you're really worried about that, you can go ahead and swap out to this skill that actually allows you to get energy, get back arcane energy based on what health glows you pick up. But like I said, it's a pretty dominant skill. I even have my magic missiles that does a good amount of damage because it got 110% weapon damage. So I mean, it's pretty much a simplistic build, but like I said, it just does so much damage, clears out mobs so well, that it's pretty much just been the bread and butter of when I play the wizard. And like I said, other people use different builds and stuff like that. This is just what I find personally to be the most effective for me and what I personally enjoy. So I've been just using this really simplistic build all the way up, leveling up in beta. And I imagine it will carry itself strong even probably up to the early levels of 20 and maybe even a 30, because it's such an incredible skill. Alright, so now we're just trying to find the passage to the next area. Laying off a couple arcane orbs. And like I said, when it crits, it really does a monstrous amount of damage. Alright. Nothing in that direction. Special mob. Yep, pretty much got it out, knocked out in one arcane orb. So yeah, definitely love this skill. All right, and like I said, just one arcane orb does it all. That's why you really don't have to worry about too much of actually the arcane power, because when you let off these shots, they just do so much damage. Not much we have to worry about. And whenever I get low on energy, I'll just simply focus down the dark occultist with my arcane missiles. Alright, let's go ahead and pick up this warrior right here, the Templar. Fantastic. Refresh the ice armor. And like I said, arcane orb out, boom. See, just one hit, everything's dead. That's why I'm just saying pretty much just arcane orb. It's like you really don't need anything else other skill-wise. Like I said, the only thing that kind of sucks, you have to alternate between the arcane orbs and the God, I can't talk. Magic missiles when you're fighting bosses, because you burn through your arcane energy so well, but it's really not that bad at all. 3 arcane orbs, everything's dead, keep it moving. And like I said, it's really just made the wizard just really pretty crazy for me, because the amount of just destructive carnage force she's able to dish out at an early level. So how we're going to come to like a little mini boss, and I'm pretty sure he'll be dead very quickly. I'll cast a couple, oh, never mind, he's dead already. And those are just magic missiles. Alright, for the purpose of this video, I won't be keeping the Templar because I want her to solo versus the King, so you guys can see how that goes down. Alright. Now the Templar is going to go ahead and give us his whole spiel about how he wants his books. But he can keep his books, but I do believe the Wizard's I do believe she wants a peek at them. There we go. Alright, so we're at Cathedral level 4. Everything running pretty smoothly here. And like I said, we don't got much to worry about. And just like I said, roll and do everything, man. Not much of having to slow down at all, pretty much. I mean, she just does so much damage. It's just quite ridiculous. But like I said, that's why I think, honestly, some of the first high-level characters will probably be wizards, because they just do so much damage. They have a great, great early AoE damage. Not much to worry about. And it's really not hard to even get these weapons set up early on in the game. So now we got a special. And like I said, everything got taken out in one arcane orb. So pretty much we're kind of all relying on one skill and just stacking towards one skill, just getting a high DPS rate. But you know what? It works. So, and I do believe this might actually... Is this the map where the... Yep, the is right here. This is the repetitive map I was talking about where... like I said before, if you're actually doing a lot of dungeons, you'll actually notice that it's not truly random for all the placements. There's only going to be certain areas, or there's only about 5 different maps for each individual cathedral level in the beta. I'm pretty sure they'll have more for the when the expansion comes out, where the actual points where everything's going to spawn at to the next level will actually be truly random, where you just won't know where they really spawn. And like I said, normally you can go ahead and skip this part, but I'm going to go ahead and just fight down all these monsters. I'm going to go ahead and pop the diamond skin as soon as this actually operates. Alright, got my arcane orb going. That's out. And like I said, I'm out of arcane power, so I'm just going to go ahead and start focusing on targeting it down. And like I said, that's the only really drawback to just having a build like this, is the arcane damage is just so extensive. The spells are so extensive on your arcane damage, most importantly the arcane orb. But like I said, arcane orb really should be safe for AoE mobs, and if you have single targets, you really should just simply magic missile them down, because they should be going down no problem. Alright, so almost at the Skeleton King's chamber. Pop open that door, drop off an arcane orb over there. Alright, so we got to the King fairly quickly, and I will say though this, the Wizard does not have the boss killing potential as the Witch Doctor, I would say, because she is fairly limited by her arcane power, but I imagine towards endgame, once you have a bunch of it, it really wouldn't be that much of a problem. Witch Doctor, like I said, his mana regeneration is pretty much out the roof, so he can spam high damage and skills that like however he wants to, versus the actual Skeleton King, you really can't do that as a sorceress. I'm sorry, as a wizard. But like I said, between the ice armor, her abilities with the arcane orb, Skeleton King really is no problem. And I'd imagine other bosses as so. And especially, it seems like you can't root bosses or entangle them to pretty much, but the like I said, the ice armor seems to work effectively versus Skeleton King, so I imagine other bosses would not be an issue as well. Here comes the Skeleton King. Let's go ahead and start casting that arcane orb. But once we're low on arcane orb, see how he's getting frozen? That's why I like the frozen armor a lot. And like I said, whenever I get low on energy, I just basically just magic missile him. And that's pretty much about it. So like I said, she ran through him pretty quickly, did a lot of high level damage attacks with the arcane orb. Frozen ice armor took care of him no problem. So like I said, I have to say I do enjoy the Wizard a lot. I think she has a lot of potential as a class in general. The ability to have a high amount of defense with certain spells like ice armor and diamond skin, and then have a lot of good core abilities with just magic missiles and arcane orb. So most definitely I would say keep a lookout on her. I don't know if Blizzard's going to definitely alter the arcane orb, but that'd be something they should definitely consider, because it's just, I don't want to say it's too much of a good skill, but it gets pretty nutty. And the crazy thing about that skill is that I really don't even have that high of a DPS weapon. If I actually were able to get that wand I had before that actually had the 30 DPS on the weapon specifically itself, she would be a ridiculous monster. I remember when I had the 30 DPS wand on her in the previous beta installment, I could kill the Skeleton King with 3 Arcane Blast, and he would die. And that was pretty crazy. So like I said, don't want to say the skill's too crazy. It's a low-level skill, but I'll just say for what it does, how much it costs, and how effectively it just kills everything, I think Blizzard needs to maybe reevaluate the skill a little bit more. Maybe move it down in the tree a little bit more, maybe buff up a couple other skills, because it's pretty much clearly dominant that Arcane Orb is going to be the skill that you're going to have early on the game for a very long time until you get to the upper tiers of actually playing the Wizard. So as always, I appreciate you guys watching these videos. Make sure you guys check out the first couple videos I put out, which is the Witch Doctor and the Demon Hunter. Now this is the Wizard, and make sure you guys look out for the Monk and Barbarian, the two biggest melee fighters for the last. So hope you guys enjoyed these videos. Hope they were informative and give you an idea basically what this class is capable of. And as always, subscribe and like the videos if you do enjoy them. My name is Debo, and I'm out.